why medical tourism is improving of recognition. As a is it a, or is it to know it? The country for of yes. Infrastructure, put it to that about for people from those countries to care.
So, passion every individual who care to is, or if it's you have, you know, like the infrastructure, the personnel, the advancing, the technology for that matter. So obviously the quality here, you know, like we have invested in it and we're intentional about it. So these people, when they come in, they know that they're going to get the quality, which has been already guaranteed. So what they're going to get as an advantage is that affordability. At the same time, if you look at Kenya, most of the Africa, but I'm talking about Kenya here, Kenya strategically, it is known to be a medical tourism, you know, like no, I mean the country with tourism, yeah. So you come here, you get your medical care. At the same time, you're going to get that extra gist of, you know, like tourism, you know, like after you get your treatment, you're going to package it with Masai Mara safaris or even beach holidays, cultural experience, and so on and so forth. So affordability, quality, at the same time that extra, you know, like wow factor that comes from Kenya, tourism.
Tourism.
Yeah.
Are we making enough efforts to package ourselves as a medical tourism hub in Africa?
I believe so. Where we are at right now, you know, like with intention and conscious decision we've made as a nation. Number one is investing. If you look at the private sectors, you know, like they've gone out there. Example, RFH Healthcare, whereby you here I'm talking about, you know, like this is just one area where we're talking about the cancer care. You know, like there are so many other areas, you know, like the transplants, the renal care, the joint replacements, and so on and so forth. Whereby once upon a time, you know, like we see Kenya, the outflow, whereby they'll go to Asia or, like you said, Western countries to get such services. So right now, the private sector, they've realized that, and of course, even the public sector, they've realized that we need to equip the country, you know, like with this advanced technology. That is one. Number two is the expertise, you know, like the capacity building, whereby you take your expert within and without for those specialized skill sets. Number three also is the quality. And what do I mean by quality? You know, like be it a journey, you know, like towards JCI, COSASA, self-care. So the accreditation journey for these facilities, whereby we're going to increase the trust and the confidence of the community and, you know, change that narrative, the perception whereby Kenyans believe they have to go outside the country to get, you know, like the world-class care. Whereas now we're here, we have the world-class care and we have all these other advantages that we've put in place. Yeah.
I want to hear this from you. When you look at you know, government, because do you see, apart from the talk, do you see the work in the talk?
Yes, there is. There's been some significant push on the part of government to place Kenya at the center of medical tourism. There have been initiatives on the part of government like accreditation, attracting international accreditation. Because it's one thing to have a world-class hospital, but it's another one to measure it against other hospitals around the world so that you're really world-class. You have a metric by which you are measuring your standards, and that metric is internationally accepted. So a lot of our facilities, like Kenyatta National Hospital, I think Aga Khan Teaching and Referral Hospital, initiatives like the Magical Kenya Medical Tourism Forum that the government has initiated as well. And it's really pushing to ensure that Kenya is at the forefront. It's visible, there's visibility when it comes to our medical tourism. But let me talk about other aspects of medical infrastructure that support this tourism that the government is putting in place. You look at our national carrier, Kenya Airways, and you realize that it is at the center of tourism, this medical tourism, because you presuppose that some of these patients who come into the country are critically ill patients who cannot fly on a regular flight. And then you have the airline, that's the national carrier. Kenya Airways now stepping in, equipped with stretchers that can be fitted on board the plane, oxygen tanks that can be fitted on board the plane. You know, they have medical escorts as part of their repertoire of medical facilities, you know. They have a lot of, ambulances that are specially equipped to handle people from wherever they are picked up to the plane, and from the plane to hospitals within the country. So you have all that attendant infrastructure run by the national carrier. In some instances where the national carrier can't land in conjunction with the flying doctors like AMREF, you know. So you have all that support infrastructure without which this medical tourism would be a nullity. You also have the fact that Kenya Airways reaches to the farthest, goes to the farthest extents of Africa. You know, I think there's hardly any other airline that covers Africa the way Kenya Airways does. I mean, Nairobi is the hub, is a medical hub.
Yeah, maybe Ethiopian Airlines.
Perhaps Ethiopian Airlines, but they don't do medical tourism because they don't have the other critical infrastructures that we do have. So that's the one distinct advantage that is putting this medical tourism at the forefront in this continent. It's creating Nairobi as a medical tourism hub. The fact that you have infrastructure like a critical airline. Then, of course, we'll also talk of other aspects like the fact that the UN now has designated Nairobi as an evacuation center for the region. It places Nairobi smack in the middle. And of course, one of the decisions that the UN has taken to place Nairobi smack at the center of this medical tourism, medical evacuation, is the fact that, one, of course, we have the hospital infrastructure, world-class hospitals, like Dr. Arias alluded to, and two, the fact that we also have an air network that can evacuate people, say, from Sudan, from southern Sudan, Congo, and we even had them come in from as far as Yemen and Madagascar, because of the network of the air network that we have.
You know, you have elaborated very well, you know, the bits and pieces that we have in this place. But do you see, concerted effort to try and put all these bits and pieces together so that, you can have a seamless experience and, there's a proper awareness to the community out there that, look here, to you, you have in Nairobi or Mombasa, and then you have an ambulance that will pick you from there to the hotel, and this seamless experience. Do you see this happening?
Yes, that's why we have the Magical Kenya Medical Tourism Forum, because that forum actually puts all the bits and pieces together. The airline, the hospitals, other critical infrastructure, especially with the UN and other international bodies, the accreditation, and that sort of thing. They all come together as a package. And Magical Kenya is one that gives that visibility. But Kenya is also on its own, has taken a lot of space on national TV and other fora to ensure that this information is out there in the public domain, in the international public domain. It's not just restricted to Africa, to Kenya, but it's out there as well. I think one of the ways it has done that is to have a medical insurance facility. I think it's called Maisha, and it's marketed internationally, more or less in the same way you have Bupa, you know, insurances and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you have a Maisha medical scheme that is tied to the airline and that offers evacuation services from wherever you are. So I think there's that concerted effort. All this is under the ambit of the remit and the ambit of the government, and it is visible. It's now visible across the entire continent.
I want to hear this from you, Daktari, and you're coming on this platform with tremendous experience of medical services in other countries, from Tehran in Iran to Cape Town in South Africa, to Westford. When you look at the Kenya tourism, the Kenya medical services, what do we have that is working for us and that is not working for us?
Okay, first let me say that Kenya, as a healthcare, sector,
in Morocco?
Apparently, yes, and we're quite, proud of the same. Why are we ahead of, a country like Egypt? Then again, when we're ranked, it was, being evaluated on 3 items: the health systems, service delivery, and quality. And I know maybe somebody will come here and refute, in Egypt, it's way better.
That's why I wanted you to repeat what you have just said.
Yeah, so health system, service delivery, and quality for that matter. And South Africa, as much as they're ranked number 1, they're ahead of us by 1 point because they're 63.8, we're 62.8. Looking at that, and I was talking to Mr. Khafafa here, looking at Kenya and healthcare sector for that matter, the intention is noble. What we have put in place, the policies, the programs, they're all there. And maybe the issue here, whereby I'm looking at Tehran or I'm looking at Westford and South Africa, it is because the lack of enough infrastructure, the lack of enough, technology for that matter. And I must say, this was maybe, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But right now, as we sit here today, and in the next 5 years, and you have mentioned 2032, honestly, the intention is there, and already the movement have started, both on the the public sector, at the same time on the private sector. And then again, you have this bridge whereby you have public-private, a partnership, wherever we have gap on the public sector, we're here private sector to complement it. At the same time, we have public sector that they're going to advise us, and tell us this is the right thing, this is not the wrong thing, and this is because of the policy making of the country. So I want to say that we are at advantage where we are at, and the way we're looking at the future, we are going to places, and we're going to get to South Africa and maybe, Tehran eventually when it comes to, the services in medical, care.
I also want to hear this from you. From where you sit as a medical doctor, what services can we take advantage of and fly with it? What product can we identify and say, this is going to be our niche market? I know as a country, the government has been coming up with policies that will make Kenya the cancer center of excellence in Africa. Is that something that we can pick and fly with, or there are other low-hanging fruits?
For sure. And if you look, like at the incidence and prevalences globally, more so nationally, you're looking at the NCDs, non-communicable diseases, whereby they're on the rise. Both the prevalence is high and the incidence is on the rise, for that matter. And as a country, the decision of like taking cancer and running with it, we realized that the common cancers that cause preventable mortalities can be taken care of in Kenya without having increased outflow of our people. Why were people going outside the country for the world-class care, for that matter, in the first place? We're looking at the expertise. They were going out there for the expertise. They were going there for technologies. And like I said, initially say that both the public and the private sector, we have invested on the same. On the other item is the replacements. By that I mean joint replacement, whereby we have patients that they're traveling to India, like Singapore, Costa Rica, and Thailand in that order for the same. But right now in Kenya, what Kenya have invested, the nation, the government itself and the private, we're able to take care of our patient on joint replacements. On the other item, I feel like it is a low-hanging fruit. Cardiac surgeries and organ transplants. Already, we have history, about 10 years ago, whereby our organ transplant, be it kidney transplant, very successful for that matter. I
want you to hold your thoughts there for a minute, because we want to go to West Pokot, where Internal Security Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen is now giving a press briefing on security situation in West Pokot. Let's listen in. Well, we're having a challenge with that signal, so once it is stable, we should go to West Pokot and listen to what Internal Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen is talking about. Please, sorry for that interruption. Keep going.
We're talking about the low-hanging fruit that Kenya as a country, both public and private, we can take advantage and utilize the low-hanging areas that we can reduce the outflow and increase our inflow. And by that I mean locally, patients, they don't have to travel outside. We're talking about the cardiac surgeries, organ transplants, joint replacements, and of course, number one is the cancer care in the country, whereby consciously what we've decided even in RFH healthcare that we are going to have state-of-the-art with advanced technology in cancer care, both diagnostic and therapeutic, to be able to be accessible, at the same time affordable, making sure that we create that access to hope to our common wananchi, and every wananchi for that matter. Yes.
But then the other question comes, so then how do we balance between attracting international medical visitors to Kenya and at the same time addressing the medical needs of Kenyans?
Number one is awareness. Awareness locally, nationally and regionally, because when we set up, and let me take put an example of RFH. When we decided to set up this cancer center, for us it was more looking at the need and the growing demand in the region, regional level and national level for that matter. So we decided that we are going to go out there and be intentional on creating awareness for the community, been traveling to East Africa and Central Africa for that matter, just to create the awareness both on health education, health information, at the same time the availability of these facilities in the region without people going outside. And of course, internationally, like I said, we are going to ride on the affordability. At the same time, the magical Kenya, the magical tourism already is taking care of that. But what we're doing also, we're taking advantage of the tourism factor that have been embedded in Kenya for over, across centuries. Okay, it is centuries over the years. And with that, we attract the international market for that matter. Yes.
Very well. I mean, if you're just joining us, we're having a great conversation here in studio, and this is on medical tourism. What we need to do as a country to position ourselves as a premier medical tourism destination here in Africa and going forward in the world. Why can't we undo India, for example? Why can't we undo UAE and become the global premier medical tourism? Why can't we do Thailand, for example? I mean, these are the issues that we need to do. We just need to put the proper bolts and joints in place so that we ensure that we tap into this critical sector. Kafafa, I want to hear from you. If there is one policy decision that you would make to drive medical tourism in Kenya, what would this look like and who would be involved?
I think what we really need to do is to work on our bilateral agreements to facilitate medical travel. As you may have recently heard, visa restrictions have been lifted for Africans. We no longer have to have that electronic travel authorization that used to take time, that used to trouble, would actually be somewhat a put-off to people who want to visit the country. That has been lifted.
And this is for the 52 countries
and
in
this
Africa.
Is for the 52 countries, I think 52, that's other than Libya and Somalia.
And Libya,
yeah, but all the rest can come in visa-free for a limited duration of time.
Yeah.
That's a very good initiative, and we need to make it even easier by signing bilateral agreements with a lot more other countries, so that where there is a medical case that needs attention, urgent attention, the entry, the electronic travel advisory requirements are made easier for people to travel into the country. Because we want these visitors, we want to treat them here, and we want to make it as quick, we want to make the process as quick as possible, the process of travel as quick as possible. So that's one thing that, that's the one policy that I feel needs to be worked on, that needs to be enhanced.
That is on travel now.
On travel, so that we can attract these numbers, because, quite obviously, these people, these tourists have to travel in. Most times they have to travel in by air. And when they're coming in through our airports, there are all these restrictions that would preclude them from quick access to the medical treatment that they need to get here in the country. So if we lift those restrictions, if we make it very easy for them to that medical tourism sector. Of course, the other thing is perhaps government investment in the technology, because our technology, as Daktari has said, our technology is a little bit, it's not as cutting edge as it should be. We've come a long way in terms of technology. We are up there with the best in Africa, but we should be up there with the best with the rest of the world. Yeah, so if we can give incentives, perhaps tax breaks or reliefs for the importation of critical medical infrastructure, that would really help quite a bit. If we can offer facilities, even, give incentives for financial institutions to offer facilities to medical health givers, that would really help quite a bit. So,
you see, when you look at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, which is the premier aviation hub in this part, in the eastern seaboard of Africa. About 10 years ago, there was a challenge with having hotels, internationally recognized hotels, close to JKIA. That has now been addressed. You have more than 5 hotels. You have about 3,000 rooms around within a radius of 10 kilometers of JKIA. But we don't have proper hospitals within JKIA. Is that a low-hanging fruit that you feel investors, like RFAH or any other institutions can take advantage of and establish an internationally recognized health facility there, so that you don't have to travel 4 kilometers to get to the best hospitals? Daktari.
Yeah, so let me talk about RFH, and that is the level 5 with the RFH Cancer Center. One-stop shop, which is about 20 minutes to 30 minutes without traffic from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And I want to believe, strategically, and we're talking about timely care for that matter, we're not very far away from the international airport. So that is one of our competitive advantage, if I must say, the accessibility from the international, inflow for that matter. At the same time, looking at how do we make this journey, or rather care, be simplest for our patients? So number one, we have entered into, an agreement with Kenya Airways for that matter, because at the end of the day, we were attracting international patients. So we entered into an agreement with Kenya Airways whereby, we can have subsidized rates for our patient. At the same time, through the journey from the airport to the hospital, the accommodation, and post-care services for that matter. And we're looking, having a safari, a holiday for them, incorporated in that package, just to make that package more seamless and more attractive for our patient. So yeah, that is number two advantage of RFH. Otherwise, talking about accessibility, and I mean physical accessibility of RFH Cancer Center, whereby our intention is international and local market, then I think we have, done quite substantial, steps.
Very well. I mean, if you're just joining us, we are live from Broadcasting House. We're having a conversation around medical tourism in Kenya, how to drive traffic, and I'm joined by two great Kenyans who are helping us in breaking down these issues. We just want now to shift our focus now to transgenerational conversations, and this is being spearheaded by the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. It's taking place in Marsabit County. And tonight they're going to have a great show here on KBC. It will be starting from 7:30 all the way up to 9 p.m. And I guess who is already there? We have Kamche Menza. She's going to give us an update on what's happening there and what the people of the great county of Marsabit are talking about. Kamche Menza, if you can hear me, tell us something about the transgenerational conversation taking place in Marsabit County.
Good morning to you back in studio, O'Brien, Kimani, and like you said, Marsabit County, and where I'm standing right now is in the middle of Marsabit town. I'm actually along the highway, and I will be joined by the residents. Remember, this is the County 011 that will set the pace for the transgenerational conversation nationwide initiative that is spearheaded by the National Commission on the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. This is a conversation that will be taking place. The first this is the inaugural project or the initiative that is taking place for the county. But allow me to bring on board some of the residents. I just want to get a feel of what they expect in the conversation. What are some of the issues that they would want to hear engaged by some of the people who will be representing them in this particular conversation. Remember, it's a conversation that all the women, policymakers, and various leadership in the community. So just to bring on board some of the residents to hear or listen from them what exactly they would want conversed in this particular conversation. Karibu sana mzee.
Nimekaribia, mimi naitwa Sandida. Mwakaje Marsabit. Mimi ni Helda.
Ukiwa mzee katika eneo hili, pengine tueleze katika mazungumzo ya vizazi ambayo pengine yanafanywa na serikali, ni masuala gani wewe kama mzee ungependa kusikia yakizungumziwa?
Masuala ya kwanza ni usalama. Kama mtu uko na usalama, ndio kila kitu nakuwa sawa. Kwa hivyo kaunti yetu nataka uwe usalama, Kenya uwe usalama. Hiyo ndio kuchangilia.
Hiyo ndio tachangia. Pengine ukijaribu kuzungumzia masuala ambayo yanahusisha vizazi vyote, tuangalie wazee, tuangalie wamama, tuangalie vijana, ni masuala gani ambayo unaona hayagusiwi sana katika kuhakikisha kwamba vizazi vyote vinashughulikiwa?
Sasa katika masuala ya wazee na kina mama, ya vijana, yani nataka kiongozi utembee mashinani, ongeleshe wa vijana. Wa vijana wamefanya kazi, kusoma ni kama kazi, zote wewe naona hauna kazi. Hiyo ndio maharibifu katika hii town. Na wazee wengine hana mguu, wengine hana macho. Hiyo pia lazima serikali watembee, afureshe watu wetu. Ya kitendo watu kae na amani. Wa vijana pia ongoje process, serikali iko mambo mingi inafanywa, uendele mbele uongoje.
And we're having a challenge with the network in Marsabit County, where our reporter Kamche Menza is engaging residents of counties 011 on the upcoming conversation around transgenerational talks. Remember, this transgenerational conversation will be taking place right here on KBC Channel 1. This is from 7:30 all the way to 9 p.m. You just need to listen in, because this is going to be a conversation which is spearheaded by the National Cohesion and Integration Organization. So you just need to listen in so that you can get to know what is happening there. And once we get the network stable, we should be going back there so that we can listen to the people there. But we are back in studio in the great company of Dr. Batul Fankufi, the CEO of RFH Healthcare, and Leonard Kafafa, public policy analyst. And our conversation is on medical tourism. Before we went to Marsabit, we were listening to Dr. Batul, and I want to hear this from you. As a medical expert, what services are in high demand from people beyond our borders?
Beyond our borders, and by that we're looking at regional and continental for that matter. It's all, being informed by the prevalence of the diseases. And here we're very clear, it's the medical ailments and the conditions for that matter. So if you look at those, number one at the moment, because once upon a time we used to have cardiovascular conditions whereby the prevalence and the incidence was high, but it goes back to the awareness and, educating the community. And we've seen that, there's a rise of the cancers now, above the cardiovascular, and then the diabetes, of course. So the cancer conditions, the demand and, people seeking such across, like I say, the globe and across the continent is cancer. And for us, our target was, we started with the region, East and Central Africa, and we realized that the numbers are still there. The numbers are quite significant. At the same time, like I mentioned, the cardiovascular is still on the rise as much as, it has taken the second rank. And those are cardiac, cardiac conditions, and which might be needing, cardiac intervention and surgical intervention. And that is quite high.
So these are like heart conditions? Heart conditions,
yeah, correct. And of course, with the lifestyle that we're having at the moment, and it has not really improved as much as, we are campaigning for, improvement of the same. We're looking at the joint replacements. Yes, joint replacement. At the same time, the transplants.
You can replace your joints.
The knee joint, the hip joint, you hear about the hip replacement, knee replacement, and so on and so forth. And we've, we have realized that in Kenya, those numbers, they're on the, inclination for that matter. And Kijabe has been, quite.
Kijabe Hospital?
Kijabe Hospital, yes. At the same time, as we're setting our orthopedic, department on RFH, we're looking at having the same, done in RFH Hospital, because, we didn't want to be, just a cancer hospital, but rather, talking about sustainable growth, we're looking at other specialist services that we can offer the community, of course, depending on the demand of the community, as any business for that matter.
And when we look, for example, when you look at something like a hip replacement, how much would it cost for a local and a foreigner? Are the charges the same?
Because for the foreigners, even for the local, but for the foreigners, mostly it is a package. Remember, you have the transport, you have accommodation, you have post-service care, and so on and so forth. So obviously, the cost is going to be a little bit higher to be able to cover for the other, the pit stop, or rather, the point of cares for that matter. For the local, what we're looking at, and then, the government has been really generous about it, the social health authority, what it's doing, it's covering a good chunk of, that cost. And the top up for that patient, because at the end of the day, we're looking at accessibility. And accessibility goes hand in hand with affordability. So the common mwananchi constitute about 70 to 80% of the population. Yes, we have, the elite, the well-off population, but we're looking at creating that access to the common mwananchi. So SHA taking care of that. At the same time, RFH, we're intentional of making sure that that common mwananchi comes to us. The margins are supposed to be very narrow for this particular patient to get quality, excellent care.
So there is not much difference, when you factor in, accommodation and travel cost. The cost for an international medical visitor and a local medical patient is not significantly different.
Yeah, taking into consideration the foreign exchange, because it's going to be, in foreign currency for that matter. But at the same time, remember, our intention is to be affordable even for the international, international patient.
Well.
So, you're looking at the market price at the same time, making sure that you're going to be, at the lower, below the list of the market price for you to be attractive. So yes, the markup is quite, insignificant.
Very well.
Yes.
Kafafa, I want to hear this. If I decide that I'm not going to, well, let's say I need a hip replacement. I'm from Kiambu County. The services are available in Kiambu County, but I say, no, I don't want these to happen. I don't want to do my hip replacement in Kiambu County. I want to happen too. I want to do these in the county of Mombasa. Would that be classified as medical tourism?
I don't think so. I think that's more or less like a choice that you're making. But if whatever you want to do is covered by SHA, I think SHA has a seamless network. I think that's one of the benefits of SHA, the fact that medical records can be accessed from whichever part of the country you're in, unlike the old NHIF system where one hospital would have records and the patient would have to carry them to the next hospital physically. SHA, I think, is interconnected. It's part of the technology, the technological process that that was used in the creation of this whole SHA business. There's a technology involved. I think there's a central data system, and that system data is can be accessed from any point. So if you go to Mombasa, if you've had your treatment in Kiambu, for instance, for a period of time, and you then move to Mombasa and you need emergency treatment in Mombasa, obviously SHA won't refer you back to Kiambu for treatment. The treatment will be done in a public facility or a facility that is under SHA in Mombasa. And that facility then will have your records, will have your data, your crucial data, and they'll be able to carry out whatever critical, whatever emergency treatment that you need in Mombasa. So for emergency treatment, yes, you can actually have it done in whichever part of the country because the records are available at the touch of a button. So that's one crucial feature of SHA that is never much talked about.
You know, as we wind up this conversation, I also want to hear from you. Daktari, when you see medical tourism, where do you see it going in the next 5 years?
The next 5 years or even less than that, and looking at our nation. And I think you've already mentioned it as you started with the statistics. Medical tourism in Kenya is one of those untapped areas, you know, like as a country, we can really benefit from it. Both, you know, like economically, socially, and even, socially and economically for that matter, and, you know, improve our GDP as a nation GDP. Because what you're looking at is, like I say, the intention is to reduce the outflow. You know, like having all the services in the country, and by services I mean the world-class care that our Kenyans tend to travel, you know, beyond borders to go and pursue it for the same. So as a nation, private and public, investing in such, you know, like facilities, ensuring that the outflow is reduced. We retain the patient, we improve the GDP, and of course, you know, like we improve our nation and regional community, you know, like care for that matter. Yes.
Yes, Kafafa.
I think, as Dr. Van Kopi has said, there is scope for growth, lots of scope for growth. We are handling, say, about 5,000 patients at the moment, medical tourists. We can double, triple, or quadruple that in the next 5 to 10 years. One aspect that we probably may want to focus on is cosmetic surgery. We've looked at critical illnesses and that sort of thing, but there's also cosmetic surgery that is a money maker, that is a spinner, money spinner. We are talking about say things like enhancement of breasts, or we are talking about reduction of the same. We are talking about facial restructuring. There's quite a bit hair implants. I mean, I've seen people walking around Istanbul, because Istanbul is also a medical hub in Asia. They have all these things around on their heads. You know, they look like they've been burnt, but they're not really burnt. These are just people who've gone for hair implants. I mean, for bald people like myself, if we want to have an afro, that's one of the things that we can consider doing, and we should consider doing that here. A lot of these face lifts, tummy tucks, and that sort of thing. It's cosmetic, yes, and it taps into the increasing disposable incomes that people across the continent are getting. Or it also taps into the incomes of people from overseas. I mean, where it is too expensive to have the same thing done, say like in Germany. Dr. just told me that she's had a patient coming from Germany to do procedures here because of the cost factor. So if we do that, then we'll be on a good, we'll be in a good place. The other thing that we ought to do, to look at critically, is the retention of talent. Yeah. Because we have quite a bit of brain drain here. We have we have great training facilities. We have all these interns and doctors properly trained here in the country, but who are now looking for more lucrative opportunities overseas. So policy now, government policy ought to look at retention of that talent so that we don't have that brain drain.
Very good. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of this conversation. It's 11:53. We always create more opportunities so that we can discuss and digest these issues so that we can alert people where we are going and the advantages that we need to take in place. Otherwise, thank you very much indeed for joining us, Dr. and Leonard too. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
I mean, we started off with domestic tourism. We are winding up with medical tourism. Today's been about tourism so that we can develop and deepen tourism in this country, being one of the biggest foreign exchange earner for us. Well, these are the kind of conversation that we are always having here on Thursdays. My name is O'Brien Kimani. You have been watching Biz Check Live from Broadcasting House. Remember, what's coming up next is Sheila Kayaro. She's on standby with Kurunzi. Otherwise, from me and the rest of the team, thank you very much indeed. And oh, by the way, before I let you go, remember the transgenerational conversation is taking place from the county of Marsabit, starting from 7:30 in the PM all the way to 9 PM. You had better stick around for that great conversation. And of course, business news will continue at 9 PM. Well, O'Brien Kimani is my name. At O'Brien Kimani is my ex-handle. Thank you for your time. Good afternoon.
Among the many ingredients used in Japanese cuisine is an important